All right. Here you go. Red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is the app here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Recognize that from my from what I registered on. I haven't given a chance.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the landing page essentially here that allows you to do the transactions. We go to the patrons here, and you have the Open Money Development patron, and this is like the contribution account. So when you make a contribution, whenever you create a new patron, it contributes to this account, to the Open Money Development account. So we'll go to the patrons here, and we'll create a new patron. We'll call it test name, and then create a new test name account. We'll create a new card here. We'll generate a card number, and then create that. So then there's a new card here that we just created, and it has a QR code that we can use to scan in when we want to access that account.
Cool.
Okay. And then, so this is the account here, and then we can add a value to that account, and then it creates a receipt for it, and then we go back, and then it has a balance of 1 now, so we can redeem a value of 1. And that's the basic premise, is you're going to be adding and redeeming values from accounts. And so
that's basically, this is like kind of loyalty card where you go in and you buy something and you get on your card.
Photocopy cards, all that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. So then in the administrative session, you can add different currency, enable different currencies, and you can create your own currency, the Fred currency with the F units. Primary 1, the contribution is 1 Fred per Fred. See there, it's enabled, and we'll set it as a default. So then when we go over the transactions page now, we have all these currencies. We have the Fred currency. We can add and redeem the dollars, the loyalty, promotional. We'll go over to our card that we created before and process some transactions on it. So we'll add 2 Freds to that account. We've got a Fred load, and then we can redeem. Now it's got a balance of 2. Right here, and then we can redeem 2 onto that. So, and then you can do it for loyalty points as well. So we can add loyalty points to that account, or we can, and then we can redeem them.
So basically, you'd expect the merchant to be interacting with it the way you're doing these things as people do stuff in his shop.
Yeah, exactly. There's a staff setting, the employee.
Yeah, under the administration here, there's the employees, so you can create a new employee.
Employees log on.
Yeah, pin code.
Yeah.
And then you just log in that employee with their PIN code.
Yeah, so you've got all the permissions as to what the employees can do.
Yeah, so there's and essentially, you would have all of the access level permissions for being able to do all the different transactions. So then when you do a Fred load onto the account, you have to get the account number first.
So presumably, you can make this kind of integrate with the kit that is being used by the retailer to do the standard transactions across the counter.
Can do. We haven't done it.
Okay.
It will integrate. It's obviously, a thing that will be driven by user interest.
Yeah, absolutely. So all they need to be able to interact with this thing is a web browser, a machine with a web browser on it.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, the QR code, it's like what you can do is you can click that QR code, and then it asks you to scan the QR code and asks you to get access to your camera.
Okay.
And then if I like load it up on, if I have like a printed card, or I have it on a mobile phone. So I'll just log in onto, I can't really log in on my phone, but then you can just scan, right? So
Yeah.
I would show my phone with the QR code on my phone, and then it register the QR code,
Yes.
and the card number would show up in here.
There's a machine with a browser and a camera that can be used to scan the QR code.
Yeah, exactly. And we have it cross-platform for most websites, but for most devices. But with iOS, they don't allow you to access the camera directly through the web browser. So you have to open a file, which would be, and then you just take a picture of the QR code, and then it, yeah. So it's kind of a reduced experience. That's where I guess a mobile application would probably be preferable to that experience, because then you could do live scanning.
Yeah, we have developed some iOS apps and put them in the App Store and so on. We've done all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I have it set up to be able to use Cordova to be able to do that. So
what's Cordova?
Cordova is
That a cross-platform development environment for?
Yeah, essentially it's a cross-platform development environment where you package your entire web app into it, and then deploy it to the app as a native app.
Okay.
So it essentially, I could take this application that I've developed and package it up and then deploy it to all of the markets, like the Android market and the iTunes and things like that.
Okay.
So, and then we have our the reports here, so you can generate the reports, and then it shows there that Fred's wife made that transaction at that load.
Yeah.
On card number, using that patron and the time and stuff like that. You can filter by dates, and then for being able to do a day end report or a month end or year end report, things like that. And we'll be enabling export into CSV soon.
Yeah.
It'd be useful at this point, maybe, Dominic, to show the net access to this same account.
Yeah, I'm almost done with this application. I'll get over to the net. Okay. In the supplies section, we can generate templates for printing. So you can specify the size of the card that you want, and then the number of cards. And then if you click on the print template, it brings up your print dialog and allows you to print out a number of cards for being able to, be prepared when a customer comes. You can just have a pre-printed card, scan that in, and use that as the account.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and then I think that's it. So now we'll go over to the net of the net account here.
Your local host.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm local host. I wonder how I could do that with the local host. It goes straight to the gift card program. Yeah. Here, I'll go live to the.
So is that a gift card program running as under Node.js?
This is on. Yeah, it's a. Pardon me.
Is that running as a Node.js application? Yeah.
So the API, you can see here, this is the API console for the Open Money, and this is the gift card API. So every time, see there, right here, I did a get on merchants, Fred, employees, Fred's wife. And
this is your log, effectively.
Yeah, this is essentially my console log. Yeah. So
this is hosted with a local instance of Node.js.
Yeah. This is a local instance of the Node.js, and it's using the Swagger Tools middleware stuff.
Right.
I'll get into more depth on the API and how it works.
Right. Yeah.
We'll just do the applications right now and show you many of the applications, what they can do. So we'll go over to the net application now. We'll do that on the live one over here, and we'll just show you right here. Just, go here. So we'll log into here. We'll just create an account on the gift here.
If you go to one of the T-Biz or something like that,
we could just create one and then.
Yeah, I was thinking about that you can see the actual account structure from the gift program through the net.
Yeah.
But let's look.
It'll show it.
Yeah.
And is this hosted on AWS?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is hosted on AWS.
Cool.
So I just registered for a new account on there, and now on the openmoney.gift website. Now we'll go over and do Fred. We're logging into that account on the net.
Is that the password you got in the short?
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, good.
So on the accounts here, you see it creates the OM dev account. It creates the tab account, the stamp account, the promotional account, the points, and the dollars. And this is the
creator accounts. These are the mint accounts from which the trader pumps card money.
Yeah, so each of those accounts represents effectively a mint for a particular account.
Yeah, it's the
merchant.
Yeah.
And so whenever we go in and we make a transaction on the gift program and we add on there, I have to create a patron. Redo this whole process again. Should just done it on here. I get really good at doing this.
Yeah.
Quick on the finger.
Yeah.
All this will be slowed down for the tutorial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
You're going to take it out again just to prove we can.
all right. So now we go back here to the net and refresh it.
Refresh and live long and prosper.
Yeah. So there we have the OM dev account has a balance of 1 because we've created 1 patron. And then there's the card account, and it has a total volume of 2. For some reason, it didn't load the transaction. There's the transactions.
Yeah.
So
that gives you the full under the hood graph. Now, notice the export CSV stuff here.
yeah. So now you can export it to CSV. I can import it into my spreadsheet program, and so I've got right there.
Yeah. And that's the Kumu interface as well. That's our access to Kumu, and it's the sort of, here's your data, look after it.
Yeah.
And there's all the currencies, so I can see like in there's the currency, the balance, the accounts that are in that currency, and then
is this all being stored in a Couchbase database?
Yeah, this is all stored in the Couchbase database. Yeah.
Cool.
So that, and then there's the namespaces. It shows the namespaces, the stewards, all the stewards that are participants in it. And then you can do your own journal entries, which is making a transaction from one card holder to another card holder. So
this just needs a descriptor field or something, so you can type in but to attach to the transaction. You know,
Yeah.
we have no transaction differentiation here.
So yeah, so I just made a like a payment from this account holder fred.cc in CC to defactorial.cc. So that's more of like what you were saying with making a transaction from one in Bitcoin when you have one address to another address.
Yeah.
The same sort of thing, but we have human readable namespaces that we make transactions to called trading names.
Yeah.
Which are the account names of the different things. So rather than trying to copy and paste all these numbers, which have no meaning, we have human readable names that we can make transactions to, which makes things a lot easier. Like, you know, like those phone numbers, you know, it's a lot easier to remember an email address than it is to remember a random number of 7 digits.
Of course.
Right, or something like that.
Yeah.
You have to get it correct in terms of being able to send it to the right account, but it tells you if you have it wrong. So
yeah, fine, cool.
Yep. So that's the gist of the applications. Whirlwind tour of them all. Now I'll get into the nitty-gritty details of how it all works. I'll start with the API here. For some reason my scroll is not working.
So this is the Atom editor.
Yeah, this is the Atom editor. It's GitHub developed it. It's their in-house editor. I think that they use.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it before. Yeah,
it's pretty good. I like it. I've been using it, and it's yeah, I really like it.
Right.
So we'll get to the Open Money API here, and we'll just have a look at the npm package here. Move that out of the way. Okay, so here we have our dependencies, and there's the Couchbase connect, Couchbase login, Express sessions. These are kind of like the Node.js server. It kind of extends the Node.js server. The Node RSA, that's cryptography. OAuth 2 authorized that passport, kind of extending it to make it OAuth 2. And scrypt, that's cryptography, and Swagger Tools is the tools API that I use for being able to describe the API endpoints. I'll get into more of that. And then this is development dependencies for testing, and these are the scripts that you use for. So if I go npm install, it installs everything. Npm start starts the tools. So that's this thing over here. And I go npm start. That's where I start my server, and it does all the logging, and I can see all of the stuff that's going on the server there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. So I'm just going to show you a tool here. This is the Swagger editor for being able to edit the API endpoints. And this is what you see when you first come to it. And you describe your API specification. So I'm just going to import my API, import my API specification from the project here. Money API, swagger.json. Okay. So this is my this is the file that describes the API endpoint. So it makes it really easy for you to be able to develop and debug your APIs.
Right.
So here's the security. It tells you the API, the license, your schemes, your products, and then it just goes into describing the API endpoints. So it describes like the steward's API endpoint, the GET on it, the controller that's used for it, the operational ID, and then it gets into the parameters. So I have an authorization header parameter, and then there's the regex pattern for it. So it rigorously defines what an API is and what it isn't. And it's really useful for being able to sanitize data so that you know exactly what kind of data that you're expecting to come in through the API endpoint.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and then more the steward's post here, an example. This is the registration API endpoint, the register request. And if I go down to the definition of what is expected in that, you'll find that here's the register request. It's a type object. The minimum amount of properties is 2. The maximum properties is 4. Required to have a steward name and a password. So, and the steward name has this regex. It can't be longer than 255 characters. The password is minimum length of 4 and a max of 1024. It's a string. And then you can pass in other optional parameters like a public key, which is an RSA key. And then it describes what the pattern is for the RSA key.
Right.
Things like that. Yeah, so that's the API that describes the API endpoints. And then over here, you get an interface, let's say the register API endpoint, the steward's post one. Right here, steward's post. So in this here, it allows me to try this operation. So in here, it's kind of like a curl request to that API endpoint. I can specify what the parameters are, the steward name, the password, the public key, and then I can try it, and then I can submit the API, and it'll do an AJAX request to that and tell me the results of this.
I did this and it worked, and that's proof of pudding if I ever heard it.
Yeah.
So this is the foundation tool that I use to get the API going. I just
effectively, you do this by effectively use this tool to design the API. Can you kind of design the API and then implement it effectively?
Pardon, what was that?
Well, I think so. The file that you imported into this, was that written by you, or was that generally the side effect of other aspects of the development?
Well, I took the example API that they had there and kind of like took from the examples there and modified it to make my API. And I kind of knew exactly the data structures that were involved in the API.
Yeah, okay.
And so I just took it. You have your basic functions on any API endpoint. And typically, it's like a list, and then a post, and then a get, a put, and a delete. And so you just define those APIs for each of your data structures, and then away you go. And then you go to implement it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll show you after you do that, what you can do is you can generate a server in here. So you can generate a Node.js server.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Right, and then you take that, and then what it does is essentially provides a foundation for you to be able
that's very
to
cool.
create.
So, well, that's extremely cool. So what you're basically saying is you design the API that you want in here,
Yeah.
and you can actually get that to generate your skeleton for
Yeah.
the server in whichever platform you're using, like Node.js, which you then just basically fill in the logic to that's very cool. I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so then it essentially generates all these controllers here.
Yeah.
And then so your accounts controller, and then it just basically goes to the account service, and then your API request comes in through here, and then here's the parameters that are part of it. So there's the steward name.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. I like that. That's fantastic.
So then, yeah, and they're already sanitized. So if your data does not match the requirements of your API specification, then it doesn't get into this portion of it.
Very cool. I like that.
So yeah, so you get really rigorously tested, like the data that you're getting in is only the data that you're expecting.
Yep. Very nice.
And then, like, a lot of the times what I'll do, so here's the data as it comes in. And what I'll do is I'll often copy what the data is that I expect to an object, so that if there's any extraneous data that's attached to the parameter value, like if it's an object, I don't want to be copying a whole bunch of stuff that's there that I wouldn't expect to be there. So I just copy it over so that what I expect to be there into a fresh object, so that there's nothing else there. And then I go to my master controller here and make a request. It's just essentially I just essentially massage the data so that it comes into a request object, and then take that request and pass it over to my master controller here.
Yeah, cool.
And then I just process each request as it comes in. So provide the logic of, here's the steward's post. So we have steward spaces, currencies, accounts. And then there's the password. I use scrypt to encrypt it. The public key, the steward name, the email, notifications, things like that. And then essentially I check for each request, I check all my assumptions about the request. So here, I make an asynchronous parallel tasks call to go and check all of the assumptions. Is there another steward that exists with that name?
So that open_bucket.get, you're doing a get into the Couchbase database with that, are you?
Yeah, this is the Couchbase database.
Yeah.
Bucket right there, and I'm doing a get onto it, and then there's an error, or there's the response, and then steward name. Then I throw an error saying that steward exists with that steward name. You already submitted your registration. Public key exists. So I check all these assumptions, right, and throw errors if the assumption is not correct.
Yeah.
And then after I've gotten through all of the assumptions, I actually do the insert of the data that needs to be made for all of create the accounts, create the currencies, create the different data structures that are needed for that, and return the result. So if it's successful, then it returns the result of the response and register post callback. So it completes it with the stewards, the namespaces, the currencies, the accounts that have been inserted into their thing. So So that's a basic kind of API endpoint walkthrough.
Cool.
How it kind of works for an API endpoint.
Yep, very good. Nice.
And so it's very, like, all of the API endpoints complete in around 30 to 40 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So it's all very fast, and that speed really helps it to scale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then you can run multiple Node.js processes to handle requests in parallel, load balanced, and they can all respond to any request that's coming through really quickly within 30 milliseconds, and then it's available for another request.
Load balancing managed through PM2, is that right?
Yeah, PM2 will load balance the processor.
Very nice. It looks really elegant.
Yeah, so I can show you on our server here.
Yeah, that all looks terribly familiar.
Yeah, and then so if I go PM2 status, it shows me that I've got 2 APIs that are running right now, and those are the amount of the restarts I've had, and that's the amount of memory that they're taking, which is like 100 megabytes, just over 100 megabytes for both of them. And then from here I can do like PM2 restart app, and then it restarts the app there. And if it ever gets like a severe error, it will email me that I've gotten a severe error, and then it'll restart the Node.js application and it'll be a stack trace of it, so that I can go back and I can figure out if there's a problem in my code, an error in my JavaScript that I didn't get that's causing the application to die.
So basically, you're using Ubuntu everywhere, effectively.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Yeah. I don't really feel a need to go to use another platform for very much else.
Cool.
So that's the API, which is the server technology, which could possibly be replaced with Ethereum stack. So I'll get to the application. So we'll go to the network application here. So this is the Open Money network application, which is the client-side application. And we'll check out the dependencies here. We have jQuery. I'm not really using jQuery mobile. I could take that out. jQuery UI, the input mask, date picker, validation. I don't think I'm using the mobile date picker either. Backbone, underscore, data tables. These two here, this is a part of the PouchDB stuff for being able to
sort of offline support for when you're not connected, sort of stuff.
Yeah, so it's a in-browser database.
Yeah.
But it's
it's
a Couch,
yeah.
It's a CouchDB client in-browser database.
Yeah,
so it allows you to be able to store data on the local machine. I don't really store much on the local machine except for their configuration, like their username and password, pretty much. That's all I store on the local machine, on the local browser.
Yeah.
I kind of use it like a cookie.
Yeah.
Or a session or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I use Browserify to be able to package up all of the JavaScript into one file for a download. So it uses the require syntax. So like on the app here, you have like all the require, all these packages
Yeah, so browser-ify enables you to do client-side require effectively.
Yeah, client-side require. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and then it packages it all up into one compiled merged asset file, which is massive. I shouldn't have probably opened that, but it will. And maybe it's going to crash. It does not like to open that because
that's what gets generated. You don't want to fool with that.
Yeah, you don't really want to fool with that. It gets automatically generated using the grunt.
Yeah.
So it compiles, the grunt script compiles the handlebars templates, and it compiles the browserify and runs the test scripts and watches for changes and on the file system. So there's the browserify. I have like definitions. I think all the definitions are in the package.json file. So that's where if I have like these definitions here, if I have a package, I set like what it depends on and what it exports and the namespace that it exports. And so then that's what I use in the require syntax at the file. So the basic structure of the app is it uses Marionette, which is an extension of Backbone. And it essentially just starts the application and it starts the router. And the router is like the master controller essentially of my app.
Yeah.
And it essentially holds all the data and creates the views and then passes the data to the views.
Yeah.
So here's all the views that I have. Here's the models. There's the collections. And then these are the and then these are the objects here. So this is the initialization script that I go through that defines the authorization. This is the authorization to the API for being able to provide the credentials for the API endpoints, and then I call the initialization function, which initializes it gets all the data from the API endpoint. So essentially down here in my functions over here, I have a initialize data function that goes through and it gets the main steward using the stored data structure, like the configuration through PouchDB. This is the PouchDB. It gets the config credentials, and then it submits a request to the API endpoint to get with the steward's access token, and then it fetches that data and then stores it in the model on the router, and then it goes through all the data structures that steward has, like the steward's collection, the namespace collection, the accounts collection, the currencies collection, and the journals collection. And so it gets all the data. So if you do a refresh on a page, it will essentially go through and it'll get all that data and then process the route for that request. So then it'll process like if you like the transactions page or the journals page. Here would be the journals page. And so that would, you get the parameters to that would be the steward name, the account name, and the currency name. And it would go through and it would process that request, go to the journal's view. And in the views here, go to the journal's view, it shows you, these are just functions that I use, but in the journal's view, there's the template, it loads the template, initializes the journal's view. This is the data being passed in. The journal's data, the count, the currency name, and the collection, which is the journal's collection. And then it just it essentially massages the data a bit. Where are we here? Let's see, the render function, calls the render function, and the render function massages the data a bit, and then it renders the template right here for that data. And then after the template has been rendered into the page, it just loads up any JavaScript functions to be able to handle it. Things like the data tables or handling click functions on actual like buttons and things like that. See, there's a number pad button. It handles the click function for it, and then it processes what happens when you click that button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so that's essentially a rundown of how it all kind of works. The actual HTML of the template is it's just a handlebars template, and it just shows for each of these accounts do this. This is within the table, right? And so those are the buttons for so this is the account name and account currency button, and there's the send value and receive value button. And this is for all of the accounts. So that's the HTML for all of the accounts that you would see on, say, that would be this page right here. I'll show you. Right, the journal entry, the journals page. That's these accounts buttons, right?
Yeah.
That you're showing right there.
Yeah.
Right in there. Yeah, and so I find this platform to be fairly powerful for being able to create these fast loading single page apps.
Yeah.
And these are the collections. Like on the journals collection, for example, I have the function to be able to encrypt and decrypt in journals.
Yeah.
So as we get data from the API endpoint, it says for each data, I parse it and I decrypt the data using the node RSA. I import the key and decrypt the data and then store it as a result in my local database in memory. So
Dominic, how did you find and learn this tool set? I mean, the tool set all seems to hang together in a very elegant way.
mm-hmm.
How did you manage to track down these tools and learn to use them like this?
Well, a lot of research development.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of like experimenting with different technologies and doing a lot of research on different, like, what's the best technology for being able to achieve this goal. What are the features that it offers over the other competitors, and then choosing them based on direction, like choosing the tool that best fits the application.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like a hell of a lot of research, as you say. I mean, you've done the kind of research that I was thinking, holy shit, I've got an awful lot of research to do to find the right combinations of tools, and I barely knew where to begin. I sort of just stopped the point of going, okay, I definitely need to know about Node.js.
Yeah.
What do I do after that? You know, like, and I didn't really understand how to scale. You know, like, okay, Node.js looks fine, but it's kind of single-threaded. I've done a sort of very elementary tutorial just to get my head around what the hell it is and do some really stupid, simple-minded stuff. But it seems like I like the way that you can kind of use the Swagger to define your APIs, and then it generates the Node.js framework.
Yeah.
That's really elegant. And that framework, you've obviously got other elements that you kind of plug into that. Like,
yeah. And it also auto generates test cases for all of your API endpoints.
So as well, it auto generates your test cases.
Yeah. So in the API endpoint, it has it auto generates your tests.
Yeah.
So that you can use those tests for being able to test your API endpoints. And I've written a whole bunch of tests to walk through each of the API endpoints. Is to just write the test for the API endpoint and then make it pass the test, and then go on and go through, because as you walk through each of the APIs and you write those tests for them, testing them, you can find out if you break something further up in your APIs or break another API because of a new feature that you added to your API.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, yeah, this is not the day job. You managed to make a living using the same tools. What kind of other things do you find you have to do in the day job to keep the roof over the head or something?
Well, my day job, I use PHP.
Okay. Well, PHP and MySQL and stuff like that.
Yeah, PHP, MySQL.
Boring stuff.
Can I just comment here, please, that I think this is probably the first time Dominic's had the opportunity to explain what he's been doing to somebody who can understand it.
Well, I got to say, I am very, very impressed. I'm fantastically impressed, because this is like the kind of holy grail to me, because I was sort of looking at this Ethereum thing thinking, okay, see, to me, until I started looking at Ethereum, JavaScript is something you use to kind of Ajax stuff and a bit of support for client-side stuff, so you don't have to keep going back to the server. The idea that you use JavaScript everywhere, and that the server back end is all written in JavaScript, and I just didn't even, I was so ignorant, I didn't even know that anybody had done any of that. Because when I started looking, I just suddenly discovered, oh shit, Node.js has been there since 2009. And I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know what it was, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like this old guy that's sort of a generation of technology back, where I made some decisions about what technology platforms we needed to use to make a living in things like managing fleets of vehicles for Nissan and Renault, and insurance companies in the city of London to do sort of storm tracking and tracking risks of storms hitting their installations in the Caribbean, and how much, you know, when do they need to call out the underwriters in case the storm's going to hit, that kind of stuff. And you know, try to find a toolkit that would enable us to make a living doing that kind of thing. And we made those judgments in 2005. And I think at that time we made the right calls. But now, the stuff that you've just been showing me, this is definitely the toolkit for the 21st century. I mean, you know, and I've done some PHP, and MySQL and the old LAMP stuff. But
Yeah.
again, that's pretty much the same generation of technology as ASP.NET and the SQL Server and stuff. What we're looking at here is like, yes, and you put it all together. I'm very, very impressed. I think it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really enjoying having JavaScript everywhere and programming it in just one language. It makes it so much easier for my psyche and switching between like PHP and switching between this and that and having like a different language on the client than the server and storing your data in MySQL and the MySQL queries, and then you're getting it in and out of the database. It's so much easier when you just all dealing with JavaScript everywhere.
JavaScript, JSON, JSON objects, JSON documents.
Yeah, JSON documents. Yeah,
it's very, very cool. I'm very impressed. I mean, obviously, Dominic. Where we are as a business, my IT consultancy, we've got quite a long track record. I mean, I've been running my own businesses since where I've got some kind of stake in it since about 1981.
Yeah.
And, I've got this IT consultancy, which, we get massive jobs done with a handful of people. Back in 1996, I was able to put together a team of 5 people to write a whole ERP system for a supermarket chain, turning over about the equivalent of $3 billion per year. And we did the whole thing from scratch in Ball and Delphi using Oracle backends. 5 people wrote the whole damn thing, commissioned it, deployed it,